Welcome back, everybody, to Raw as Ginger, and I'm actually here. I feel like I've not been here for a long time.
Yeah,
I feel
it's
like I've been
weird me having to steer the
comments.
ship.
I've been making comments to the videos, but I've not actually been in the video.
Well, try being in the videos and then commenting them under the different YouTube channels that you use. It opens
I've
me up to
never done that.
a whole lot more abuse, which we'll touch on probably later on as well.
You'll be fine. Don't worry, you've got your support team here.
Yeah,
We're here. We're good.
yeah. I mean, in fairness, we've recently just crossed the 170 subscribers mark, and Debbie, that's definitely down to you. Our numbers have shot up since you've been doing those shorts, so that's a personal thank
Yeah.
you from us.
No worries. Like I said, I do it for a bit of fun. I do it for just general reactions as well. And any stories, rumors I hear, I like to post them. Something could be wrong sometimes, but listen, I hold my hand up. I apologize, and bit of fun.
Yeah. Well, at least you've not had any severe ones. You're not in death threat territory yet. I'm into like two hands now over my channels with death threats. It just shows
Yeah.
I've finally done something in a market.
I'm not sure your target is death threats.
Well, think about guys like, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos. If I had their money, I could justify more death threats. So yeah. Well, we should make that like a tiered option if we ever get to that monetization. Like, to send me death threats, you have to send me 10 quid.
Okay, I'll go along with that. A GoFundMe page.
Yeah. Or a go kill me page.
I won't go that far.
Well, it's my first cruel joke considering the subjects we're going to be talking about tonight. So, Kev, fill in the audience of what we are going to be talking about, brother.
Well, this past week we've lost two WWE Hall of Fame legends. The first one being the legendary Ozzy Osbourne, who essentially planned his funeral with that last gig.
Yep.
That was his farewell to the world.
Yeah.
I was gutted missing that because it was at Villa Park. And it's like, see if hindsight's a wonderful thing. If I'd known that, yeah, that was him, he was basically going to die 2 weeks later, I would have shelled out the money and by hook or by crook got there because Villa Park, Ozzy Osbourne, that's like an ideal thing for me. But you live and you learn. In Ozzy's case, you die and you never learn. Like Ozzy's just he was a pioneer. Everybody who has a metal bone in their body, figuratively and literally speaking, was shedding a tear at that. And it was one of those ones that even though we all had a feeling something was coming, we were all shocked.
I think we were maybe expecting it, but maybe not as soon as it just happened. Because he even said that he really wasn't well, and he hypothetically spoke about dying and whatnot. I'm like, well, we all need to die sometime or later.
Yeah.
But the fact that it happened pretty much like that's what was the surprise about.
I think it was the whole thing, like, how people say, like, on their deathbed, maybe they'll wait until someone's been and seen them before they snuff it. They'll be holding on for that particular person, and then once they've seen them or whatever, or they realize they're not going to see him, it's like, okay, it's time to go. I think it was the case if he was holding on for that final gig because he wasn't taking any meds. He was in tons of pain, but he wanted to be lucid for his final performance and give a great send off. I think that was the case, that he was like, okay, I've done it. I've done what I wanted to do. And it's the most successful metal concert, charity concert, in history. And he snuffs it.
Yeah.
I read that Kelly Osbourne said that after he came off the stage, he told her that he was gutted that he couldn't stand up one last time. His body wouldn't let him stand up, so all he could do was wave and sit. He wanted to stand, but the Parkinson's wouldn't let him.
Yeah. In fairness, if anybody could have pulled that off, just the sitting on the throne, and doing that, it's Ozzy.
Especially with that throne. That throne was just him to a T. I think he had a similar type throne. I'm not sure if you remember this, but a couple of years ago when it came to War Games, he actually introduced that War Games. He's talked a little bit about it and started singing War Pigs, I think it was. And he had the type of throne behind him. And I was like, Mwah, mwah, mwah.
Yeah, because a lot of people were like, like just like the ones that don't know WWE, were like, why are they also adding in WWE Hall of Famer? Like he wasn't a wrestler. It's like, no, but he was like one of them. He was essentially an ally for sports entertainment. Like he was part of like that rock and wrestling boom period of the 80s, like, and he managed to carry it on through even to the dreaded celebrity guest host era. He was one of the few that was able to carry it off, aside from Bob Barker.
Yeah.
And then, as you mentioned, like the War Games as well. He was always intricate to some part of it, like, in almost every decade, like since it became a boom period, and that's a massive accomplishment for someone who was not like a trained professional wrestler.
He was definitely a well-loved man, because do you remember watching the MTV show The Osbournes, and it showed him during his general life?
Yeah.
And you just feel like this the best way for me to describe it is that this poor fool that's had to live. He's done everything else. He's done sex, drugs, rock and roll, and he has to deal with his family. It's like, you're all fucking mad. And I just love that concept, the fact that he is just genuinely himself, and the fact that he ended it the way it happened, it just makes things a little more humble as well.
I mean, when you watch the Osbournes, everybody is insane, and you're like that. For all the stuff that Ozzy has done, all the drugs and booze that has been in his system, he's the most normal out of all of them.
And that's saying something. That is saying something.
Yeah, that is saying a lot. There was one. I wasn't a big fan of it. I'm not a big fan of reality TV, but I would check out the Osbournes because it was Ozzy Osbourne. Well, and I think if he's gonna have like a tombstone or whatever like that, there's one line that's just summed him up from that, and I think it should be engraved on it. It was, "I love you, now fuck off."
Yeah.
Well, because
that would be very appropriate.
If he doesn't get that engraved in his tombstone, I'm going to ask someone to get that on my ashes to get cremated, because, well, I fuck people that afford a burial plot.
Oh, no. I better make a reminder somewhere.
Yeah.
And send it to your wife.
Yes. Well, my wife will forget. She doesn't watch any of my shit. But she won't have a clue. Like, the most likely person that I could maybe get is like maybe my brother or my dad. And well, you never know what will happen, but hopefully, if it's going the natural progression, they'll both be dead before me. Well, because Daniel's older than me. Spoiler alert.
It's a bit depressing to talk about death, but I suppose this past week there's been the icons, especially.
Yeah, it's not really a case of like we're talking about like death in a bad way. We're trying not to mourn the death, but celebrate the life. Well, that's the way that I'm trying to look at it, like, because Ozzy Osbourne, he had some fucking life.
Oh, God, yeah.
That is a life that is like Keith Richards level. Well, and somehow he has outlived him. Well, that's
And he's older than him.
Exactly. That's insane. It's unreal. Like, did you see the meme going around about like Keith Richards undergoing the quickening? It's like,
he'll be fine, but he'll be fine.
Yeah, it's like the only person that the other person I can think of that I'm like, please not this year, is Dick Van Dyke, because he just turned 100.
Not yet.
You jinxed it yet. You jinxed it. That's it.
100 in December.
That's it. You jinxed it.
I seen a picture where he had a 100 birthday cake. I'm taking that as canon.
Right.
But it might not be official, but in my head, he's 100. He's getting there. He's not doing a Betty White on us.
Oh, I know. She didn't make it to 100.
Yeah, she got to 99.
2 weeks away, she was. 2 weeks away.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
I was fucking raging. I was I think everybody was, though, but yeah. So that's what we're aiming for. What we're aiming to make sure that, like, you know, we keep Keith Richards like just doing what he's doing. And let Dick Van Dyke just put him in a freezer.
I think Keith Richards actually died in the 80s, but nobody's told him, and they're just letting him go like that. Keith, we've got something to tell. Never mind.
Do you think it was like the same as? I think it was the same as, like, you know how the rumors of like the Queen had actually died in like 1970 or something, but it was just constant like body doubles replacing her. Well, all throughout. Do you think maybe that's actually what's really happened with Keith Richards?
Maybe because like he's had so many different transformations. He's like a lizard. Sheds his skin, and then out comes this other one. It's like, hi, how's it going? Hi, how's it going? I want that.
Oh man, what?
I'm Johnny Depp's dad.
Each one's more wrinkled than the last, but it's supposed to be smoother. He's just getting more wrinkled.
Man.
He's doing the Benjamin Button. He's doing the reverse.
Yeah, he's just gonna start going back the way.
Aye.
That's what happens. All these people are dying, so that he takes their essence and he's just now going backwards.
Oh.
But we just find out that like Keith Richards is like John Wick or something. Like he already went down to hell, made a deal with the devil, and yeah, he's just doomed for like a life of torment.
I really hope we haven't jinxed this, because this is what I'm afraid of. It's jinxing like this.
You only get jinx like if a load of people watch it. So this is the one I'm really hoping we don't get that many views.
So if we go over 10,000 views, then we should be okay. So right,
if we get over 10,000 views, we fucking kill them. Well,
where's my rabbit's foot? Where's my rabbit's foot?
I think that could be the coming up on this show. Like if we get over 10,000 views, we've killed them, and they'll just be like, oh wait, who are they planning on killing?
Just a wee thing at the top here. We will not be able to kill Keith Richards. It's literally impossible for us to kill Keith Richards. This is just a little joke that we're having at the moment because of the tragedy of Ozzy Osbourne. So off.
Yes, it's like we're all people that get so socially anxious we can barely leave our house to go to the shops. There's no chance of us killing Keith Richards.
That's true.
Very, very true.
Yes.
Maybe this guy did.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yes.
That's brilliant.
In fairness, like that probably leads us ideally onto probably who killed like our next candidate and the reason that we are here to talk about this stuff.
Oh boy.
Yep. Here we go. Kev, you can start this one.
Well, the man changed wrestling with Vince McMahon's help. But he was the front. He was there to change the way people watched wrestling. And obviously we're talking about Hulk Hogan.
Yeah. Just because when you started off with the man changed wrestling because the whole Becky Hogan thing's going on, I just have to clarify, we weren't talking about Becky Lynch. She's still alive. But fortunately you said they were talking about Hulk Hogan. I'm like, thank fuck. That's fine. So continue, Kev. Mm-hmm.
He was there for like the first 7 WrestleManias as the headliner. And there's been nobody really since that's been able to carry it the way he did. And despite what you might think of him personally, he was still a legend for what he'd done for wrestling. We wouldn't be here talking about it if he hadn't changed the way wrestling was.
Yeah,
that's true.
Very true.
Very true.
Well, Debbie, obviously you were the first one to do the short, talking about Hulk Hogan's back, and basically like a couple hours after the word got out. So,
yeah.
That was you could see the emotion like in your short as you were doing it. Is it started to sink in yet? For you or? Yes,
in the sense that it's going to be one of those things that, people sometimes say, where were you when you heard the news about this happened? This is going to be like me with Hulk Hogan, because I was at work and one of my work colleagues was looking at her phone and they just casually said, Hulk Hogan's died. I'm like, obviously they didn't understand. They knew who he was, but they didn't knew who he was. I know what he done. And I'm like, can you see that again? So yeah, Hulk Hogan's died. You know that American wrestler that everyone is like okay about. I'm like, okay about? I then had to clarify on my phone to make sure that she wasn't shitting me. And I was like, oh my God. And it literally took me back. Luckily, I finished work about half an hour later. And I was driving home and I messaged my husband. And the first thing I said is, Hulk Hogan said. He's like, what? Yeah, Hulk Hogan said. Are you actually? And I started to get really welled up a bit because he was probably the first wrestler I probably saw in a ring. And I think I mentioned this when I was doing the short, that it was him with Macho Man Randy Savage as part of the Mega Powers. I can't remember if it was SummerSlam or if it was the WrestleMania and whatnot. And I'm like, that was the first wrestler I saw. That was my first feeling towards wrestling. And if it wasn't for that feeling that I had, I wouldn't be doing this right now. And I got so welled up in the car. I even started to cry in the car because I was getting so emotional. Like, shit, I need to actually drive. So shut up. Tears around whatnot. But this one did hit me harder than expected because I was a big fan of him from the very start. Afterwards, when he did the Nanny film, maybe not as much. But yeah, this one definitely hit me hard. And I said to someone recently that the other person that will hit me this hard is the Undertaker. Because I've been watching him since the very first time. So this, I am okay. It just hit me a bit harder than expected.
Yeah. Oh, I can definitely understand that. We'll come to the last person myself. I've had, as we've spoke about beforehand, a few not very nice comments about my thoughts on Hulk Hogan. There's a couple of reasons behind this. Kev, you remember when we did the Should WWE Erase Hulk Hogan? I had to fight the side of yes, we should erase him, and I got very heated about it. A lot of people thought that was my true feelings about Hulk Hogan. What they don't realize, and yeah, ironically, on the day that WWE Untold has come out, like I'm pulling the behind the curtain for this one for you as well. We had decided, someone has to go for, somebody has to go against, and someone has to be the judge to decide the arguments. I was the one that was going against because John Toner, who was originally part of Raw's Ginger, he was arguing for. Because at the point we were like, well, that's probably the most controversial take. Toner can handle any criticism that comes near him. I did not expect this to bite me in the ass a couple of years later. And it royally did. So when I did my short, kind of trying to say, yeah, you can't deny what he done for the business, but also he was a flawed human being. They were calling me out on my kind of hypocrisy, and then also calling out saying, like, you made fun of somebody that's died. And I'm like, newsflash, have you been on the fucking internet lately? The entire internet is a slew of like Hulk Hogan memes. So basically, like, from the first announcement, it was unreal. It's crazy, the stuff that's going on. I was very fucking tame when it came to that stuff. Do I stand by some of the stuff that I said in our Should WWE Erase video? I do, because he was a flawed human being. And we'll touch on that probably a little bit later on as well. Ironically, because he was touching somebody else's wife. When it comes to professional wrestling, it wouldn't exist in its form without Hulk Hogan. It might not even exist, period, in the way that it is now, because of Hulk Hogan. Yes, there was talk of he stole a lot from superstar Billy Graham, but Billy Graham laid the foundations. Like, he walked so Hogan could run, and Hogan ran. He was the first wrestler that crossed over properly into mainstream because he was already done Rocky 3 before he went into WWF at the time. That's why originally Vince McMahon Sr. didn't want him, because he didn't have that kind of kayfabe structure, but his son overruled it and was like, we need to get him in. There's something here. That's why Vince was so protective of him, because he was his golden goose. That was the fart that he was gambling on, and he had to make sure it was a fart, and it was a ripper, basically. He done amazing. He's the only wrestler that's been able to span, 4 or 5 decades? Constantly, even if you count like his Netflix comeback, I know it was booze. Hindsight's a wonderful thing, but he's been consistent. His name's always been consistent with the business. He's always been around. He's been part of major events in wrestling history: the Andre the Giant Slam, the heel turn for the NWO, his 2002 nostalgia run. Even in the 2010s, when he shared the ring with The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin, that's something nobody thought would happen, and it happened. He did a lot of stuff, a lot of good for wrestling. He did some not good things outside of wrestling. But we're all human. We all fuck up.
Yeah.
So I think the thing that ticks people off is that he never really seemed to truly repent. But as he's now passed, people are now coming out and saying, yeah, there was parts where he did repent. There was parts where he did say, do his sorries and try and amend himself. But by that point, the damage was already done. It's trial by fire when it comes to social media. I remember watching, it was a Netflix documentary, and it was about like how the internet basically, destroys people, and the focus was around the Terry Bollea Gawker case. That was it. I can't remember the documentary off the top of my head for anybody that's watching, but if you have a Netflix, go and check it out. Like, because I recommend you do, because it gives you a wee bit more behind the curtain of what was going on for him at the time, and how when he's in the stand trying to kind of justify, well, not like justify, but say what happened. How they're like, well, it's Hulk Hogan saying that, and he's like, no, it's not. It's Terry Bollea. They're like, well, what's the difference? They're like, there's a huge difference. Terry Bollea is me as a person. Hulk Hogan is a wrestler. There's two different things, and they crucified him for it, making out like he had dementia. He didn't know what he was talking about, like he was a schizo. And I'm like, that's the whole point. That's the whole point of acting.
Yeah.
In general, acting, there is a character, and then there's the person. So,
I mean, like Ewan McGregor is an actor. He's not a drug dealer or anything like that from Trainspotting. He's not Obi-Wan Kenobi. Although that'd be quite nice.
We'd more likely believe that he was a Jedi than a druggie.
Exactly.
Now.
Well,
nowadays, back in the Trainspotting days, because he was such a good actor, you could have believed it.
Aye.
But now we definitely think that he is Obi-Wan Kenobi. But it's the same deal. It's like that's the whole point of the business itself. They're playing a character, but they have to play a lot more than most actors do. There's rarely a time to switch off.
Because
it's the way kayfabe has changed as well through the years. Nowadays, people know about it. They know that these wrestlers aren't actually like their characters. Like recently, Happy Gilmore 2 just dropped. MJF's in it. Now, his character in the ring is a horrible bastard, but he plays it fantastically. And I know people are, he's a knockoff Miz. He's not. If you look at the Miz when he came in, he was a cocky, arrogant wanker. He played it fantastically.
Yeah.
You believed him that he was. But if you watch interviews nowadays, you can see that that's not who Mike is.
Mike Mazzana, like himself, is actually like one of probably the nicest wrestlers that you could meet.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's part of the reason why he's been around for so long as well, is because he's able to be a part of a family, but as soon as he goes straight into the curtain, persona changes.
Yeah. And you can see that with MJF, because I've seen him do like normal interviews as Maxwell. And he's a completely different person. And everybody that's worked with him says he's such a nice guy, but he finds it hard to turn off because he's always going somewhere and I need to be in character. Because he was a fan of wrestling. He grew up watching it the way that we did, thinking that these people were these people.
It's like how
I don't want to drop that.
It's like how in the acting industry, we talk about method acting. And some of the greats have done it, like Heath Ledger, and the one I'm going to bring up is Sacha Baron Cohen. Like he will live his character. When he was doing Borat for the first time, the first Borat movie, he lived his character for about 3 years. His wife wanted to kill him. Because he just lived his character. I mean, there's no wonder Isla Fisher divorced him, because that was his process with every character he ever did. He would live it, he would breathe it. There would be maybe 4 or 5 months, 6 months max, where he would be himself, because it would take him a couple of months just to get out of those mannerisms and settle back down. Method acting is a risky game.
Yeah.
Sadly, Heath Ledger is the prime example of that too. But that's what wrestlers have to deal with on a daily basis. They have to keep that up.
Half the time they can't even get out of that character, because back then, Hulk Hogan in particular, he was everywhere. It's like, eat your vitamins, eat your milk and whatnot. He'll be in the airport saying that to everyone. He did not when to turn off. And even when he got a little bit older, he started to open up a store and did bits and pieces. He would be in that character most of the time. It would only be when he would be like at his own private house and close the door, he like be himself a bit more.
Even at that, like 10 minutes to get to bed, wake up, and then go back to it.
Yeah. And even then, like, because he had his reality TV show, the one place that was his safe haven to turn off, he had to turn back on. I know obviously the reason behind it is money, brother, but it's still tough going. And his family, they wouldn't have known, like, they'd be like, oh fuck, like, where's our dad? Where's my husband? Like, he's back.
Like, where's the pause button to this character?
Yes. Yeah, but there was no pause button, and at the end of the day, like, the lines can become blurry. Well, if it's that kind of thing, like, if you get so ingrained in a character and one you've lived, at that point it was what, 20, 30 years. Of course, it's going to be hard to switch off.
Yeah.
But there's the Undertaker. When he retired, he done a full interview and he said he found it so difficult to just be Mark because he'd spent 35 years as the Undertaker.
Yeah.
And he couldn't find that switch. And he's of that generation where you live that character, you wear that character. Until you shut a door and you're yourself, that is who you are.
Yeah.
So people like him, Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair. Ric Flair doesn't know how to turn it off. Because he's been Ric Flair since the 60s.
Yeah. Well, and in the case of Ric Flair as well, he doesn't want to turn it off. Because
I don't think he has the ability to. No. He's lived it for so long, he's like, this is just who I am now. And I think so that was the same with Hulk Hogan.
Yeah. And I think that's why, like, when it came to also the not so nice parts of what happened with Terry Bollea, I think that's why it hit everybody like a ton of bricks.
Yeah.
Because you were seeing the person behind the mask, but you saw him at his lowest point. One of his lowest points that should have been private. It should not have leaked out at all. Not excusing what he said or what he did, but that's something that should remain in the confines of that room.
Yeah.
And they leaked it, and they knew that was going to destroy him, and it did. And again, we're not excusing what he said. You can't excuse it. And he didn't at the time, we thought he didn't necessarily help himself because all we'd heard was the rumors of, his apology was, don't get caught on camera because there's cameras everywhere. But now more is starting. But now more starting to come out of the woodwork. Like I saw Devon Dudley, and he was saying that he'd pulled him aside, and said sorry, about it, and had a proper conversations with him, and I genuinely don't think he was like a full on racist, because he wouldn't, if it was the case, he wouldn't have done business with half of the people that he'd done business with. He wouldn't have done business with The Rock either. He wouldn't have done any of that type of business because if it was that deeply ingrained. But he would do it. He would do the job if business was business. But then we've got all the politics of that doesn't work for me, brother. But there was in that case, he definitely didn't see a race. It was just, could you take my spot? Yes. Well, fuck you. That was his logic. It didn't matter what creed or race you were. If you were going to take his spot, he was going to fucking destroy you. That's it.
He was at the spot, and that's what he wanted to say. He didn't want anybody having that spot.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of people that he stopped from going forward is ridiculous. We could have had Jake the Snake with a title run. We could have had Mr. Perfect with a title run. We could have had Razor Ramon with a title run. But we didn't get that because Hogan said they're not ready yet.
Yeah.
And Vince McMahon was like, fine.
And it was even things like, his 2.99999 second kick out for Ultimate Warrior, where it's like, you beat me, but not really, kind of thing. So still having that to try and protect his aura. not doing the job for Bret Hart, not doing the job for Shawn Michaels, Randy Orton. So he was he's the OG politicker. There'll never be another one like him, and I have to say thank God for that, because of the amount of wrestlers that he absolutely destroyed. But
I mean, it's because of all that essentially WCW failed, because there was too many highbrow people that wanted to stay on top that didn't need to be on top anymore.
Mm-hmm.
They could have just been there as legends, coming in and messing shit up for everybody when it was great for a story.
Yeah.
Same with TNA as well.
Yeah, because there was a bit of a botch up with that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, the whole TNA thing, he didn't want to do it, but he wanted the money.
Yeah.
It was big money. And he's like, okay. But he didn't want to go for one reason. Vince Russo.
Yeah, I think that was the biggest reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he went to Eric Bischoff and he said, you come in and you control what I do. So Eric Bischoff had nothing to do with anybody. He had nothing to do with storylines. All he done was go in and look after Hulk. And that was it.
Yeah.
He didn't need the money either. So it's like, fine, I'll do it. Because Hulk Hogan asked him.
Yeah. Well, we've covered like the good points of Hulk Hogan the wrestler, the not so nice points of Terry Bollea the man. But I want to end it on like a positive thing. So I'm going to ask, first of all, what was your favorite Hulk Hogan moment, WWE wise? We'll go Debbie with that one first.
Just one.
So I think my next question will be harder.
Again, in my head, I always have the image of the Mega Powers with like him and Macho Man. I've always been a big fan of Macho Man. But I think personally for me is when he turned into the NWO, because he was a much loved figure for about 20 years. And then went into the NWO. He was the guy that everyone wanted to hate but couldn't hate in the end. I was like, did we actually do this right? It's like, I don't know, but it's working. Carry on. Let's move on. But match-wise, there's quite a few matches that I did enjoy that he did. Although, what I realized during the 80s, if you hit someone over the chair, you're still a good guy. If it would happen now, it would not have happened now. And be a bad guy. Yeah. But the whole thing with the whole Rock thing at WrestleMania, that whole passing the torch thing, because when Kevin said about he was able to get Hulk Hogan, when Hulk Hogan ran, it made ways for other different ones as well. When Hulk Hogan ran, the Rock jumped, John Cena leaped, and all these different charismatic personas kind of like went aboard with that as well. Yeah. Pretty much.
Well, you've basically said the same as mine as well, which is, Hogan Rock WrestleMania 18. That was when I first got Hulkamania proper. I knew of him and I knew of his stuff, but it was kind of like fleeting bits, maybe through like pop culture stuff. That was when I really felt the true force of Hulkamania. That sounds wrong in retrospective, but it's the case of like, I felt that wave of Hulkamania for the first time, and I was like, wow, this is what people talked about. And I was with that, and I felt that at that match. Kev, what did you say was your favorite match for him?
For me, probably it'll have been the very first WrestleMania that I seen him in, and that was WrestleMania 6. Title versus title.
Yeah, Ultimate Warrior.
I'd been watching wrestling for a bit because we got Sky in the January, and that came out in the March. And I remember watching the build up and going, this is amazing. And I was never a big fan of Hulk Hogan that much at that point, because there was all these better characters, especially the Ultimate Warrior. I loved the Ultimate Warrior. Looking back at it, oh my God, he was a psycho. But when when you're that young, it's like, this guy's amazing. He just sprints to the ring, runs round the rings, batters the hell out of somebody, and then just runs back. Like, does this guy ever stop?
Mm.
And like, that was the matches that I'd seen him do. And then it's like, he's going to be fighting Hulk Hogan for the big title with his title on the line. The match itself, going back and watching it on retrospect, it's not the best match in the world. I don't even think it would be in like the top 1,000 matches of all time.
Mm.
But that's the first WrestleMania that I saw. That was the first main event, and I loved it.
Right.
And you spoke about the kicking out literally as the hand went down. So like, he won, but he just won. And that should have been him, Hogan, passing the torch to the Warrior. Hulk had his run in the 80s. This was the beginning of the 90s. It should be the Warrior's run.
Yeah.
But as we know, it didn't work out that way.
Yeah.
But it's WrestleMania 6, title versus title, Hogan versus Warrior.
Cool. Well, we have 60 seconds on the clock. I'm going to put you under pressure. What's the best role that he's had in pop culture, in the movie-wise?
Suburban Commando.
Right. Right. Debbie.
It's definitely not the nanny. It's definitely not the nanny.
Right. Okay. Mine's is him and Muppets in Space.
Oh my God.
Just loved it. Absolutely loved it. Nothing could top it. Best cameo I'd ever seen.
Right. Gremlins 2. Yeah.
Gremlins 2. Yeah. Debbie, we're making the decision for you because we're pushed for time. Gremlins 2.
Okay, Gremlins 2. Okay, that'll do. That'll do.
Cool. If you think of one for like a short later on, let me know. We'll upload it. But until next time, everybody. Well, the only way we can end this is by saying, rest in peace, brother.
Rest in peace.